So if he doesn't go, so he fulfilled the mitzvah of Kol Hayesem V'Viv Yas. He had a mitzvah. He has an averet. That's not a mitzvah. That's an Isser Aseh. Ramban said that's not a mitzvah. That's an Isser Aseh. If he violates the neder, he took a shvua neder not to attend the Shviga's birthday party. So if he doesn't go, so he didn't violate the Isser Aseh. But he didn't have a kiyum aseh. In Parshas Kiseitze, it talks about nidre gavoa. A person takes a neder to give a korban. A person takes a neder to give tzedakah. A person takes a neder to learn. Okam the Yeshna Perik Zeh, neder godol nodal l'kei Yisrael. If it's a nidre gavoa, then later on he gives the stuff, and later on he brings the korban. Not only does he get schar for bringing the korban, for giving the stock, he gets schar for having taken the neder and observed the neder. So Ramban Tainas that this is a kiyum essay and this is an Isser essay. They're two different things. The Stomer, so let you talk the Stomer, the Rambam also agrees that they're not exactly the same, but he still holds that it's one mitzvah saseh, has both an Isser essay and a kiyum essay. The Ramban thinks that there are another two differences. He says that he thinks that the din bal te'acher, Parshas Kiseitze van Nidre Gavoya, it says Kisida Nedel Hashem Akech L'Sacha L'Shama. He thinks that the bal te'acher only applies to Nidre Gavoya. It doesn't apply to Nidre Harshus. There's a ran in the Dorim where he says not so. A person takes a neder, I will abstain from eating potato chips for 30 days and I will determine when the 30 days will be. So the Ran writes in the Tzamachs, in the Dorim, that he has to pick 30 days within Yud Beis Chodesh, otherwise he's in violation of Bal Te'acher. So on the side of the Gemara, Rabbi Gevega points out that the Ramban and the Sefer HaMitzvah disagrees. Thinks that the Parsha Bal Te'acher only says Banidri Gavoya. It doesn't say Banidri Harshus. Then the Ramban thinks also there's another difference between Nidri Gavoya and Nidri Harshus. Not only one is an Isser essay, one is a Kiyum essay, and Bal Te'acher is only by Nidri Gavoya. He said there's another difference. Nidri Harshus, the person has to say Hareni Noida, Hareni Nishba. If he just says, I will not go to the Shviga's birthday party, he didn't say Hareni Noida, Hareni Nishba, it's not binding. But he said Nidri Gavoya, the Gemara says, Elkom Le'eshna Perek Zeh, I'll wake up early in the morning, I'll learn Daf Yomi tomorrow morning before the minyan. So he didn't say Hareni Noida, Hareni Nishba, but the Ramban thinks, you see from the Gemara, you don't have to say, Nidri Gavoya, you don't have to say Hareni Noida, Hareni Nishba. The Rambam has what to say on everything. In this week's parsha, in the beginning of Matos, it has about if the daughter takes a neder or the wife takes a neder, the husband has the right to be made for the neder under certain circumstances. So the pasuk says, Hefer is nidra denis meheni yoni aviya oisa hanoah and hafar. So we usually learn the same thing. Hanoah and hafar, the same thing. The Rambam has a chiddush. He says they're two different things. He learns the Gemara like that. Hafara means he makes an oral declaration, mufalach, and Hanoah means he didn't say a word. He forces his daughter, he forces his wife to violate the neder. That itself breaks the neder. That's called Hanoah. He interprets the Gemara like that. It's a chiddush. Then next in the parsha you have the din of Trumas Ameches. There was the Milchama with Midian. So they captured Noshim and they captured Behemoths. So the Torah required that Echad Achuz Ben HaChamishim mitzad the soldiers, Echad Achuz soldiers Echad Achuz Mechamesh Hamiyos, and the Tzibur had to get Echad Achuz Ben HaChamishim. So the Halacha, the Rambam was not the first one who wrote a Sefer Mitzvahs. The Halachas Gedolos was written during the period of the Goinim. So the Bahag is a Sefer Mitzvahs, and the Rambam patterns his Sefer Mitzvahs after the Bahag, but here and there he disagrees with certain details. So the Rambam has a taina against the Bahag. Why did he count the mitzvah of Trumas Hameches to give? The Gemara says it was a Hiroshah, once in the history of the world. It doesn't apply to Dervis. And the Rambam claims in the first half of the Sefer HaMitzvahs, in the 14 Klolim, so the first klal is you only include mitzvahs deraisa, and then he says the second klal, third klal, you only include mitzvahs that apply to Dervis. If it's something once in the history of the world, you don't include it in the Sefer HaMitzvah. He tainas, why did the Bahag include Trumas Hameches? It was a Hiroah Shah. So the Ramban there tries to defend the Bahag. The whole Hasogas and Ramban and the Sefer HaMitzvahs is try to defending the Bahag like the Ramban on the Rif. The Baal HaMor has Hasogas on the Rif. So the Ramban comes to defend the Rif. A lot of times he defends the Rif. He himself doesn't agree with the Rif, but he says you can't wipe the floors with the Rif. The Rif knew what he was talking about. The Rif was entitled to his opinion. So here also in the Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Ramban a lot of times defends the Bahag. He himself doesn't necessarily agree with the Bahag, but he comes to defend the Bahag. So he gives two suggestions why the Bahag did include Trumas HaMeches. He gives one suggestion, which is very problematic. He says maybe it's a din l'doros, that whenever the Jewish army succeeds in conquering a lot of, taking a lot of material, maybe there's a din l'doros, bizman shebeis hamikdash hakan, you're mechuyev to give all the time. So on the side of the Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Megillah says, they write that that's against the Gemara. The Gemara, the Ferish Menachos. It's only Hayru Ashah. Then the Ramban gives another suggestion that's already Nitan Lehiyomer. Says maybe the Bahag is of the opinion that whenever you have a Hayru Ashah that's a Kiyum L'Doros, let's say in Pesach Mitzrayim there was a Hayru Ashah, everybody has to knock on the next door neighbor's doors and ask for matanis. Bizman hazeh, not only is there no such obligation, even if you volunteer to do it, and even if you go, you should next door neighbor will give you a matana, you don't have any kiyum mitzvah. That was once in the history of the world. Haram ismat chalayam of koehu. If someone will hold up his stick today and do kriyas and not mechuyev to, and even if it will accomplish, there's no kiyum. But over here, by Trumas HaMeches, the chiyuv was a hayru ashah, but the kiyum is a kiyum l'doros to be magdish something to the Beis Hamikdash. Ramban thinks maybe that's what the Bahag thinks. Maybe the Bahag included it because even though the chiyuv is only hayru ashah, but the kiyum is a kiyum l'doros. Then you have the pasuk in today's Sedra. It's right there in Parshas Matos. The Chumash gives the Gvulos Haaretz, and it's v'harashtem es haaretz v'yishaftem bo. So the Ramban tain is that